Hello and welcome to MCC second season TV international show. My name is John Dabit and I'm the business department coordinator and also the host for this show. In the past month, we had many international visitors visiting us at Eastern Iowa Community Colleges and also at MCC from the country of Jordan and from the country of Yemen. Some of them participated in our classrooms. They shared their experience with our students, and it was a great experience, of course, for our students too. Some of them also attended some of our activities here in Muscatine at the college and outside the college in the community. Our president, Dr. Jeff Armstrong, also participated with a delegation group also through the Fulbright. He attended meetings and he visited two countries in the Middle East, which is the country of Jordan and the country of Oman too. Some of us also participated in the past month and attended different conferences such as the CCID conference, the BEMINA conference, and things like that. From time to time, I like to share this information with you. And also next week, we will be celebrating our diversity, because next week we'll be celebrating our Diversity and Multicultural Day here at MCC. So as you know, we have a lot of activities here, a lot of international flavored activities at MCC and also at district here. As our mayor once said, many things are happening and many good things are happening here in Muscatine. And I would like to say also that many things and good things are happening at Eastern Iowa Community Colleges too. With me today to share all the good stuff with us and with you as the audience, Dr. Pat Keir, the Chancellor of Eastern Iowa Community Colleges. So allow me to welcome her to the show. Welcome, Pat.
Thanks, John. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you here on the show. Pat, I would like to start with you by asking you a simple question. Can you give us a simple idea about the district, Eastern Iowa Community Colleges District, please?
Sure. We're a little unique in the state of Iowa in that we have three separate colleges, and when the time came to establish the community colleges in the state of Iowa, there were three very powerful local colleges, so they merged them together into one district. And so Eastern Iowa Community College District, where I'm the CEO of that, consists of three separate colleges, Scott Community College in Bettendorf, Clinton Community College in Clinton, of course, and then Muscatine Community College, where I am today. And the three colleges work together. We have shared courses and catalogs and shared support services, but each college also has its really unique identity. And I have to say, having been so many times to MCC and in the Muscatine community, that I would say that this college and community, the key word would be friendly and welcoming, which is one of the reasons I think that so many of our international students end up coming to MCC, because they're so warmly greeted by the people in this community.
Thanks a lot, Pat. And one of the things that I would like to talk to you about is CCID. Community Colleges for International Development. I know that you are well involved with this organization. If you can share with us some information about CCID and also the role that you play representing Eastern Iowa on the CCID board.
Sure. I think the Community Colleges for International Development it's not every community college in the country. It's a group of colleges, though, that have always been committed to international education and global work. And these community colleges all work together and merged into a group called Community Colleges for International Development. And actually, interestingly, the headquarters of that organization are in Iowa, where they should be, just right over near Kirkwood Community College. And so I think that's been part of the reason we've been such a strong force in that organization. And what CCI does, in addition to planning conferences on international issues, is they're kind of a broker, and they work with a lot of U.S. government agencies and private agencies when those agencies are looking for a group of colleges to do some training in particular colleges or student study abroad programs. Or very often we have contingents coming from all over the world who want to study the community college movement and understand it because they might want to have community colleges in their country. So they, for example, would get referred to CCID, and then they would work with them to have different ones of us host them. You know, if you go together as a group, or 3 or 4 community colleges together, you're often much better positioned to get grants or programs than if you just go all by yourself. I know Eastern Iowa Community College District, the former chancellor, John Blong, was a founding president of that organization. And so Eastern Iowa is on the top level board and has a great deal of influence in that organization. I was chair of the board for a year, and it was fascinating work to see we have 1,200 community colleges in this country, and to see how many of them are doing work overseas or welcoming international students, working with the federal government a lot on its agenda in international areas.
And I agree with you, Pat, and it's just like, it's always nice to see even people from other colleges coming. You know, I attended 2 different conferences the past couple months, and you know, it's nice to see people from other community colleges coming to us and asking questions and so on. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we have really that long history of being involved with the CCID and also with the international, you know, movement and relationships with others.
You have to really be, I mean, you can sit as any college in your own community and kind of look inward and be very successful. I think we have a strong commitment to having our students in particular get a global perspective. I was watching a conference that was webcast yesterday on future trends. It was a very high level discussion of what are the qualities that employers are looking for in their workforce today and in the next 10 years, given how the world is changing. And they had a list of them, but right up near the top was that they want their employees to have a cultural awareness and an ability to understand how the rest of the world works. And they pointed out that particularly as you move up the ladder in jobs, you will find yourself moving from country to country to country. And they want people that can do that without going into culture shock, and also who have respect for the traditions of others, that kind of thing. So we think at the community college that it's one of our responsibilities to help our students come to be more comfortable in the global world. So because we care so much about that, and we have faculty like you, and many other faculty who are really interested in international events, I think we've got a lot of people in the district that support our work through that organization.
I agree with you, and I know at some point you traveled outside the United States, and if you can tell us a little bit about your travel and the reason why you traveled. And as you start talking about that, our producer, Chad Bishop, will start like displaying some pictures on the screen, so you can share with us, you know, the information needed that we need to know about the pictures and the places that you visited and the people that you dealt with, please.
Well, it's interesting because I think once I became a leader in the community college movement, I was surprised how often I ended up going to another country, and often the reason was that this country, I've been to Republic of Georgia, I've been to China, I've been to Thailand, I've been to several European countries, been to England, which isn't that exciting, but all for the purpose of going to these countries and working with them to understand what a community college is and how they might adapt that model to their nation. I mean, people love the community college. They understand it's a unique American institution. It's a way up for people. It's an amazing place. And so often then someone will fund or send somebody like me to another country to work with people as they're developing their own community colleges. This is a picture. This was interesting. A group of us, this project in Thailand had been started before I arrived. It was a 3-year project for Eastern Iowa Community College and a couple of others, but I have to say we were kind of the lead college here, to work with Thailand as a nation to help them create their first community college system. And right after I came in as chancellor, that 3 years was coming to a conclusion, and it was time to celebrate the fact that in Thailand they had established 15 community colleges.
Wow.
And they wanted me to go, and Dr. Armstrong from MCC went, and they were very interested in having some of our elected board members go to talk to them about trusteeship. The idea of having locally elected trustees, as you have here, people who are elected to sort of tell the community college what to do, that was not an idea they were familiar with. They're more run by the state government, but they wanted to learn about that. So I and Jeff and two of our trustees, one of whom you saw there, went to Thailand. We were there for 10 days, and in addition to doing conferences and meetings, we were taken around the country to tour their new community colleges. So in some ways it gave us an opportunity to be tourists, but mostly every day we spent our time at different community colleges learning from them too, because it was interesting. This is one of the meetings, and on the left side, or the woman, is Mary Lou Engler, and Mary Lou is one of our trustees, and then on the other side is an official from Thailand, and that's me in the middle, looking a bit tired by then. But you do find, I think people think when educators go traveling international that it's like a junket, or that they're going to, no, you get there and you spend the majority of your time in meetings like this, and they're very enjoyable, where you talk to, very ceremonial often, you exchange gifts and make speeches, and then almost always you sign some kind of memorandum. And this is a picture of us meeting at one of the colleges, Utani Community College in Thailand. This was quite exciting because the Thailand officials from their Department of Education took us to a community college way out in the country, and then as a little side excursion took us to this huge market right on the border with Cambodia. In fact, you could just look across a bridge and you could see Cambodia. And every day, thousands and thousands of Cambodian peasants would line up on the other side of that bridge. And when the doors opened, they would all flood over into this market to sell their farm wares and things like that. So
things look really like fresh.
Oh, they were so fresh, right out of the farms, and we really enjoyed that. And I think when you travel internationally, even though you're there to work, I have never been anywhere where people haven't treated us so wonderfully and taken us to see, well, they're proud of their countries and taken us to see some sites.
And I agree with you, because that's part of the experience too.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely.
Right, and this is a Buddha, but you obviously can't see much of him. Very, very large and very gold out in the country. And you'd see these throughout Thailand, various types of religious symbols and things like that. And this is it's coming towards the end of our journey. I'm glad I had so many outfits. I'm noticing that I actually didn't wear the same thing twice so far, but with some of the officials and some of the students and and on the extreme end in the orange shirt, that's Dr. Joe D'Souza, and Joe is on our board of trustees also. So those were the two trustees who came. It was interesting, at the end we ended up, all the presidents that we had met as we traveled around the country and officials all came into Bangkok on the same day, and they rented a huge hall filled with people, and we wondered what the show was going to be, and guess what? It was us. And so it was quite exciting to speak. There we are talking to everybody about elements of a strong and effective board and CEO relationship. And that, of course, much of this is funded by the U.S. government, and they have certain objectives that they would like to reach. And one of them was to try to share that concept of public governance of public organizations, which is what we were talking about there. A wonderful event. Of course, again, they took us out to one of the local community colleges and hosted us and brought in some beautiful Thai dancers, and somehow they thought that I would be able to get up there and be as graceful as they are, but as you can see, that's me attempting to turn off the camera, I think, as I was about to start dancing. Here we are again at the border. This shows you the border into Cambodia. And in the orange shirt is Dr. Jeff Armstrong, the president of MCC now. And interestingly, when we went, you were there, we went to CCID, the organization we were talking about before. And when we got there, the entire contingent of people that we had met from Thailand were there, and it was like old home week to see them again. And we're hoping that we can continue some work with the Thai people. So that's a sample of the trip. I've also, Eastern Iowa Community College District did a similar project, again funded by the U.S. government, in the Republic of Georgia. Mm-hmm. And again, they wanted to set up their first community college, and 3 or 4 years were spent. And again, I got to go towards the end and attend a lot of ceremonies. And that's a very beleaguered country, as you probably know. They much of their main industry kind of got shut off when the Russians invaded, and the Russians are no longer trading with them or buying their wine and things. So they're struggling, and the purpose here was to help them set up community colleges with a more technical workforce-based kind of mission.
Yeah. And Dr. Keir, you know, I know that you created different initiatives mm-hmm. here at Eastern Iowa Community Colleges, mm-hmm. and one of them that I would like you to talk about will be the globalization initiative. Mm-hmm. So if you may just expand on that, what will be your vision? What do you like the group to achieve? Things like that, if you can share with us, please.
Sure. We have a team. You know, I like to ask people to volunteer for certain things if they're interested. So it seemed to me that we really needed to be more systematic about our global and international efforts. This amazing team came together of passionate people, and that team in a year and a half has done amazing work. One of the things we found was that even though we had all of these things going on at a high level, visits and projects, very few of our own students were getting to go outside of the area, with the exception, by the way, of a wonderful project where Muscatine students have gone to Denmark to study agricultural practices there. But other than that, we had very few students. And so one of the projects here was to get organized to do more study abroad for our community college students. Most community college students work, many have families and responsibilities, so it's not as easy for them to pick up and go for a semester to France and live, you know, in the dorms and float down the river and, you know, drink wine by the bay. They have to have something much more compact. And so the committee, the team, joined a consortium in Illinois, and now we have opportunities which we can advertise for our students to go abroad through this consortium, community college students, and our faculty to do exchanges. And I believe we have a faculty exchange coming up. 2 of our faculty will go. We're not quite sure what. I know China is one option, the Netherlands, and I can't remember the third. And then faculty from those colleges will come and stay here for 2 weeks. So it's really important to give people an opportunity to get outside of their local town and interface in other cultures. So that was one of the major purposes of that.
How about like, you know, what are we doing in order to encourage, I will say, instructors in their classrooms to globalize their classrooms, whether it's by bringing maybe a speaker or talking about certain topics? Are we doing anything in regard to this issue also through this initiative?
Yeah, that's called globalizing your curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
It's imagining that most of your students, at least while they're in college, will never get to go to another country, maybe not even interface with a lot of immigrants, new immigrants from other countries. So you ask the faculty to try to find ways, as they're teaching their content or what it is that their skills, to bring in a global flavor to it. Bring in speakers or one wonderful project that actually, again, came out of MCC, which I have to say is really taking a strong lead in our district in these efforts. I know that Jeremy Pickard, who now works as our international director, he set up a class so that someone in India, faculty members in India and faculty members at Muscatine, worked together to develop curriculum on environmental issues. And then they would have the students interface with each other over like webcasting once a week, and actually discuss the content with each other. One set in India, one set in Muscatine. And again, the actual course was a traditional course, but Jeremy certainly globalized it by doing that. And it's interesting, he'll tell you that they did what they were supposed to as they chatted about the course content, but they always wanted to stay on longer and then talk about, well, what books do you like, or who's a good singer, or what's in India, and just watching two groups of students learn about each other's culture that way was critical. And more faculty, I think, are very aware that you can teach what you want to teach, even mathematics or culinary arts, and bring in a global flavor to it just by what you choose to talk about or what books you assign, or culinary arts, what food you ask students to research. So that's really a very strong commitment. And this group, this team, has just done an outstanding job in a very short time to move us forward with that. And I know you're on it, John, by the way, and you've done a great job.
Thank you. But it's just like, as you mentioned, it's just like when you bring the students, and I had really amazing, I would say, experience with the Yemenis. I decided to take them to my class, and what they decided to do is like they had like the map, and they put the map in front of my students and say, okay, well, did you ever hear about the country of Yemen? Can you locate that on the map? And it was a great teaching experience for our students, because I'm sure most of them most probably will not ever have a chance to go and visit even anywhere in the Middle East, let alone Yemen. And so these kind of interaction, as you said, like with Jeremy's, what he's doing, connecting our students with students in India. These are really an amazing experience for our students. And I want to really say something here, Pat. Thanks a million for all your supports for programs like that. And I go around and I talk to people that teach even at colleges that are 5-6 times bigger than us, and we don't even hear programs like that. We don't hear that they have programs like that, and I feel really proud to be part of Eastern Iowa Community Colleges, and that's part of it is because of your leadership and your support for programs like that, and definitely we owe you for doing things like that and changing the district image really in the past 7 years. So many thanks for that. Another thing that I would like to talk to you about, Pat, is like, recently, I don't know how many people of our audience know about, the different international programs that the district Eastern Iowa is trying also to start in the Bemina area. Right. So if you can expand on that, if you please.
It's very interesting because we suddenly have found ourselves quite involved in programs with the Middle East, as you mentioned, Yemen and Jordan, and programs that weren't our original focus, because as I mentioned, we were more working with Thailand and Jordan, Georgia, Uzbekistan, some of these others. And one of the reasons that we're doing this is that the United States government is really wanting to allow the relationships person to person to happen between people in the United States, particularly college students, and people in countries where right now we have a lot of suspicion or fear. And it's an educational mission in many ways to give students from the Middle East, and we've had, I know you had wonderful Egyptian students that came to Muscatine, and we've had a number of students from Latin American countries come to Scott Community College. So they can come and get to know us, and particularly in communities like Muscatine, where they're going to really see typical, friendly, respectful American citizens, and for our students also to meet them so that they see that people that come from Jordan or Yemen or Muslims or not Muslims, when you get to know it, are just people just like us. And it's an international exchange effort where the United States is placing a strong focus now on the Middle East. So when they were looking for schools, colleges that could step up and participate that met their criteria, Eastern Iowa has sort of stepped up to the forefront. So our BMENA projects and partnerships, again, which are funded by the State Department and various things, we're not always all by ourselves in these things. We have some partners, but they are really focused on the Middle East and having exchanges, faculty exchanges, Fulbright exchanges, but even more important, having groups of students come from there to go to school here and vice versa. And I know that occasionally events in the Middle East can get in the way, and I know you had an amazing program planned for students to go to Egypt, where many, many students had signed up. And it was really unfortunate that politics and uprisings and upheavals got in the way of that. Any of us that's ever traveled anywhere, even in countries that seem more familiar, say to you, Europe or something, you're struck by how different it is, and you're struck by how different the people are, and yet how much the same they are when you get down to it. And sometimes you want to have deep philosophical or political discussions with people, and you find out they're just like you. They want to talk about, family and love and their future and their children and your grandchildren, and you get that common bond. And I think that's one of the reasons that we want more globalization in our curriculum. And I hope all the other countries are stepping up to do their part too, because many people abroad have ideas about Americans. They need to come to Muscatine and spend some time here to find out what really decent people are like. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in Muscatine. I think the other good thing about Muscatine as a site for visiting students is that a lot of parents are not really eager probably to send their kids to New York City or Chicago, even though their kids might want to go there for exchanges. But they look at Iowa. I mean, what could ever go wrong in Iowa? And they're more comfortable. And we maybe don't tell them that Chicago is only 2 hours away or something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of our focuses. But to be honest, we don't want to get so involved with so many countries that we lose, focus and quality. And so we kind of have to pick a couple of areas. And we do tend to go where the funding is. And the funding right now is, although I see the Republic of Georgia again is got some very large grants based on community colleges, and I'm hoping that we can get back involved with them.
Well, that's good. Dr. Keir, I would like to give you a minute or two, and that would be your 2-3 minutes to say whatever you want to say.
Okay, well, I think what I can say is that as I was growing up, and I know people travel a lot internationally, but I was just privileged to be able to get out of my hometown and go to places when I was younger, when I was in college, when I was starting my career. I lived in Germany for 7 years. I've been to very strange places. I've been to Bulgaria. I was able to go, my dad was a college professor and did a study trip in what was the old Yugoslavia and stayed there for a summer. And I never consciously, when I was younger, thought back on the influence that had on me. But as I look back, the opportunities to go to other countries, not necessarily as a tourist, but to go with a reason, something to study or to do business, and to get to know the people is something that it's a gift we should give all of our children and all of our students to the extent that we can. So anyone that's listening who might be tentative or shy about getting a passport and going somewhere, yes, it's different. Yes, it's a little challenging. Things aren't the same, but that's the reason you want to do it.
Well, Dr. Keir, thanks for being part of the show today.
Thank you, John.
And thanks for, as I mentioned before, thanks for leadership, your support for every single program that we have here at MCC or at Scott and Clinton. As you always say, we bring people who had that extensive travel experience, extensive work on different international projects to share their opinion with you, to share their experience with you. So I hope that if you have any question and or comments for me and for my visitors and my guests, please, you can call me at 288-6064, or you can email me at jdebate@eicc.edu. Till next time, Muscatine, bye-bye.